Let's learn how to ask questions using the interrogative word, what. Before that, let's start with the sentence, this is a. How do you say this in Japanese? Wonderful.
これ、
So can you say, this is a? Beautiful.
これは A です。
So how do we turn this into the question, is this a? Was it too easy?
これは A ですか?
All you have to do is add the question particle, ka, to the end of the sentence. Today, let's turn this into a question. What is this?
これは何ですか?
That's it. This none means, what, in Japanese. Actually, what, in Japanese is, nani.
何?
However, as in this sentence, if the following word begins with the consonant, d, t, or n, it tends to change to, none.
なん?
This is said to be simply because it is easier to pronounce. Question earlier was, is this a? When you ask, what is this, you basically don't know the a part, so you want to know what this part is. So we just substitute what for that unknown part. As you can see, in Japanese, we use the same sentence structure for closed-ended questions, is this a, and open-ended questions, what is this? Let's practice.
これは何ですか? これは何ですか?
Excellent. You've already mastered, what is this? The next question is a bit more advanced. What book is this? This is a question to ask when you know that this is a book, but would like more specific information about the book. Let's start by saying, this is a book. This is how you say book in Japanese.
本.
Nice. So how do you say, this is a book? Excellent.
これは本です。
Very good. Now let's describe this book in more detail using some other noun. Let's say, a history book. In Japanese, history is said like this.
歴史.
Great. And, a history book is said like this.
歴史の本.
Very nice. In Japanese, when a noun is modified by another noun like this, the particle na is added between the two words. We've learned this expression before. My pen.
私のペン.
Watashi is the Japanese word for I. In this case too, the word I modifies the word pen, so the particle na is inserted between the two words. Now, let's go back to the earlier topic. Can you now ask this question in Japanese? Is this a history book? Superb.
これは歴史の本ですか?
Wonderful. And if you really have no idea what this book is about, and the word history doesn't even come to mind, you might ask, what book is this? Try saying this. Fantastic.
これは何の本ですか?
We want to know what word goes in the place of the word history here, so we put what here. Let's practice again.
これは何の本ですか?
Very good. Let's practice another type of question using what. How do you say, today is Monday? We've practiced this before. Excellent.
今日は月曜日です。
We learned that yobi means day of the week. This time, let's practice on Tuesday instead of Monday. This is how you say Tuesday.
火曜日。火曜日。
This kanji character means fire. This is how you say fire in Japanese.
火。
However, this kanji character is pronounced ka when referring to the day of the week. So let's ask, is today Tuesday? Wonderful.
今日は火曜日ですか？
Very good. Now, can you ask, what day of the week is it today? Bravo.
今日は何曜日ですか？
Excellent. The unknown part here is where ka was, so we can just change it to none. The words Monday and Tuesday are each single words. However, you can also replace the unknown part of a word with what, like this. Let's practice again.
今日は何曜日ですか？今日は何曜日ですか？
Very good. Are you getting used to using none now? This is the last one for today. Let's ask, what time is it now? First, let's practice how to say the current time. This is how you say, it's 1 o'clock now, in Japanese.
今は1時です。
Ima means now.
今。
The number 1 is ichi.
1。
In modern Japanese, numbers are usually written using Arabic numerals. And ji is a unit of time that corresponds to a clock.
1。1時。
The sentence structure is the same as when you say, today is Monday. However, for some reason, the particle wa is usually omitted when saying the time. Let's practice by omitting the particle wa.
今1時です。今1時です。
Great. Now try asking the question, is it 1 o'clock now? Cool.
今は1時ですか？今1時ですか？
So, if you don't know the one part, how do you ask, what time is it now? You nailed it.
今は何時ですか？今何時ですか？
Great. Have you gotten used to asking questions using what in Japanese? We will be releasing separate vocabulary videos to help you learn how to say days of the week, times, and numbers. So let's practice together in those videos. Now, in the next part, let's practice a conversation using today's sentence pattern. Today's conversation is about buying food from a street food stall. First, listen to the whole conversation.
いらっしゃいませ。どうも。これは何ですか？これは串焼きです。何の串焼きですか？魚です。何の魚ですか？ マグロです。じゃあ、一つください。はい、どうぞ。ありがとうございます。どうも。
Now let's look at each sentence one by one. Tourist sees a street vendor selling some food and approaches. The vendor then says,
いらっしゃいませ。
This is a standard phrase that shop staff say when welcoming customers. Literally translated, it's an old-fashioned way of saying, please come to our shop. People who don't work in shops probably won't use this phrase very often. However, it is a phrase you will hear often, so it's a good idea to practice it.
いらっしゃいませ。
How should a customer respond to this? Actually, there is no set way to say it. Most people would probably just give a slight nod in response when greeted with irasshai-mase. Of course, there is nothing wrong with saying hello. You've already learned the daytime greeting, konnichiwa.
こんにちは。
But there's actually a simpler greeting that's more versatile and commonly used.
どうも。
This, domo, is a simple greeting that can be used regardless of the time of day. It can be used in the same way as the English, hi. Originally, domo is an adverb used to emphasize an apology or gratitude. You've already learned how to say, thank you, in Japanese. Do you remember how to say it? Amazing!
ありがとうございます。
If you add the emphasizing adverb, domo, to this, it means, thank you very much.
どうもありがとうございます。
You also learned the phrase, excuse me, which is used when speaking to someone and when apologizing. Do you remember this one too? What an impressive memory.
すみません。
When it is used to speak to someone, to mean, excuse me, domo, is not added. However, when using, sumimasen, as an apology, adding, domo, emphasizes the apology. It means, I'm very sorry.
どうもすみません。
And when used alone, domo, is used as a simple greeting or a simple expression of gratitude. In this situation, it's used as a simple greeting, similar to, hi. By the way, domo is a short but polite expression, so it's okay to say it to someone you don't know well. Let's practice.
どうも。どうも。
Very good. And the tourist asks,
これは何ですか?
This is the main topic of today. In Japanese, there is no distinction between singular and plural nouns, so kore can also be used to refer to multiple things. Let's practice again.
これは何ですか? これは何ですか?
When asked what they sell, the vendor replies,
これは串焼きです。
Kushiyaki means grilled skewers. Kushi means skewer, and yaki comes from the verb to grill.
焼く。
Let's practice.
これは串焼きです。これは串焼きです。
Great. By the way, don't you think the kanji character for kushi is very intuitive and easy to understand?
串。
But it's a little less generous, so it should look more like this. Now, back to the main topic. After hearing this answer, the tourist asks the following question.
何の串焼きですか?
We've also practiced this today. He's asking, what skewers are these? Let's practice.
何の串焼きですか? 何の串焼きですか?
Very good. Here's the answer.
魚です。
Sakana means fish. Let's practice.
魚です。魚です。
After hearing this answer, the tourist asks a more specific question.
何の魚ですか?
This is also the same sentence format as the previous one. This time the question is, what fish is it? Let's practice.
何の魚ですか? 何の魚ですか?
By the way, if you want to ask, what meat, you would say this.
これは何の肉ですか?
Niku means meat. It's good to practice this as well.
これは何の肉ですか?
These are the 3 types of meat that are mainly eaten in Japan.
鶏肉、豚肉、牛肉。
By the way, the words chicken, pork, and beef are also very commonly used when referring to these meats, so it's fine to use those as well.
チキン、ポーク、ビーフ。
Now you can ask about the type of meat in Japanese when you go to a Japanese restaurant. Now, back to the conversation. Here's the vendor's answer.
マグロです。
This is how you say tuna in Japanese.
マグロ。
Let's practice the whole sentence.
マグロです。マグロです。
And it looks like the tourist decided to buy one.
じゃあ、一つください。
Ja is the colloquial pronunciation of dewa. We practiced saying dewa mata when leaving, right? Like dewa, ja means, well, then. Now, let's practice a standard phrase for shopping. Hitatsu means 1 unit or 1 count. So in this context, it means 1 skewer. Kudasai means something like, please give me. This is a polite form of requesting something. And since it already contains the nuance of the English, please, there is no need for a separate word for please in Japanese. When requesting a specific quantity, state the quantity first, followed by kudasai. Let's practice.
じゃあ、一つください。じゃあ、一つください。
Now you can shop in Japanese. You can only buy one though. We'll practice saying other numbers separately. The vendor takes the money and says this, as they hand the skewer to the customer.
はい、どうぞ。
Both of these words look familiar, don't they? We learned that hi means yes. However, hi has many meanings and is also used when handing something over. When doing so, the pitch at the end of the word is not lowered.
はい。はい。
We also learned earlier that da so is a word you say when politely offering something to someone. Saying hi alone when handing something over is casual and can be rude in some cases. However, combining it with da so to say hi da so is polite and is very commonly used. Let's practice.
はい、どうぞ。はい、どうぞ。
The vendor also says, thank you, to the customer.
ありがとうございます。
The tourist receives the food and says,
どうも。
Ah, this is the same phrase we saw at the beginning of the conversation. There, domo was used to mean, hi. Here, it's used in another way, as a brief expression of thanks. Of course, you could also say the full phrase of thanks here, arigatou gozaimasu. However, the Japanese phrase, arigatou gozaimasu, is a bit long, so it can be difficult to say in a busy atmosphere. You may have heard the shorter version of thank you before.
ありがとう。
However, if you omit the gozaimasu part, it's no longer a polite phrase. This shorter version should only be used with family and close friends. A short and polite way to say, thank you, is, domo. Let's practice.
どうも。どうも。
Now, let's practice the whole conversation once. Listen to each sentence and repeat it.
いらっしゃいませ。どうも。これは何ですか？これは串焼きです。何の串焼きですか？魚です。何の魚ですか？マグロです。じゃあ、一つください。はい、どうぞ。ありがとうございます。どうも。
Now let's do some role playing. First, play the role of the vendor in part 1. Then, play the role of the customer in part 2. Let's get started. Hajime.
どうも。これは何ですか？何の串焼きですか？何の魚ですか？じゃあ、一つください。どうも。いらっしゃいませ。これは串焼きです。魚です。マグロです。はい、どうぞ。ありがとうございます。
Great job everyone! In the next video, we'll practice Japanese demonstrative pronouns. See you again.
ではまた。